Hey everyone. So I want to go over some of this stuff that we see a lot in, I guess, news in general. And it really comes up when maybe a union is fighting for higher wages or something like that. And you'll hear rhetoric from the corporations that say, we can't afford to pay you what you want. Um, and it's typically a lie, spoiler alert, but I wanted to go over some of the actual like verbiage used because they use such high end. It's not really high end, but like if you're unfamiliar with the words and the meanings, then it can trip you up. So what one is year over year. So year over year profits or year over year sales, year over year something. Definitions right here. Well, you can't see me point, but here it is. It's pretty much you're measuring 1 year, like say 2024 quarter one to 2025 quarter one. You measure the same. That way it doesn't like mess with like if you have a seasonal business and things just tend to drop off in the winter seasons or in quarter four or something like that. You're not measuring that to try to get a little more accurate there. So year over year profits would measure a company's financial performance by comparing its current profits with the previous year's profits of that same quarter. And then here's another one. Well, since we're talking about profits, what is profit? It gets conflated a lot of the time with revenue and vice versa, and sometimes on purpose. But profit is like all your revenue, all the money you made, minus all of your costs, and then that's your profit. So I know a lot of you are going to be like, that's super obvious and simple, but there are people who aren't familiar with this kind of stuff. So profit is financial gain realized when revenue generated from a business activity, transaction, or investment exceeds the total costs and expenses required to earn it. So you made some lemonade, you sold it for $2, but it cost you $1 to make. And after all your other costs, let's just say your time is worth 50 cents, you made an extra 50 cents on top of it, whatever. So, um, and then here we go to talking about the businesses. So the reason I wanted to make this video is because there's a lot of businesses making record profits, which is great. That's good. That's a good thing. We want record profits, especially if those are gained legitimately. They're not like, cooking the books or something. Um, and so I asked Google a couple of questions here. Is Amazon making record profits? It says yes. Now I know these are AI, but I also have read through and pulled up a lot of the articles that the AI cites because AI does get things wrong and it does make errors. They're not hallucinations. AI is not human. There are errors. Um, so, anyways, Amazon's making record profits in 2026, and let's see here. I can show you this. This is an investors relations tab for Amazon. Most bigger businesses, you can Google their name and then type in investor relations. It'll have this kind of information out there. Um, if I can remember, I'll put this in the description so you can read it yourself. You can also just like type it in. But yeah, they are making record profits. And then I wanted to double check. Amazon, I asked, is Amazon lowering its prices? And no, it's not. I understand Amazon is a big digital market as well, but it's not lowering its prices, which you might think it would. That's the political take on that. Is politicians will say if we give tax cuts, tax breaks, tax incentives, or investment and grants into businesses, prop them up, restructure things to help benefit them, they will do well. They will make lots of profits, and then that will trickle down. There's my camera. That will trickle down to everyone else to benefit the rest of us poor lowly people with our cups. Like, oh, more please. Anyways, it's not how it works. It's never worked that way. It just isn't. It's a lie, and a lot of people bought it. And economics can be difficult and confusing conceptually and whatnot. And so it's easy to just buy a narrative, like hear a narrative, well packaged, well sold, and be like, cool, I'm gonna put this narrative on my shelf of narratives. And whenever someone asks me about it, That's the one I'm going to point to. So it's right there. It's in that nice packaging. Well, if you open that box up and take out the nice packaging and looked at it, it's just a box full of shit. So they sold you that. They sold every generation of Americans on that for a long, long time. Anyways, on this one, this is a letter, an internal letter that was distributed, I suppose, and it's just talking about how they're gonna lay off like 16,000 roles across Amazon, and yeah, so they're making record profits. They're not lowering their prices, and they're laying people off. So that's the exact opposite of what trickle down economics says would happen if a company does well. So let's look at Meta. I asked it too, is Meta making record profits? It says, yes, Meta has posted record profits in 2026, driven by soaring sales and strong engagement. But however, the company is simultaneously trimming staff and ramping up massive AI related infrastructure spending. Okay. Here's one article about it. And I mean, I'll try to post all these in here. It just kind of goes into more detail. You know, don't just take things at face value and stuff. You can read it yourself as well. But really, it's ridiculous. You know, here's the 10% of staff that they're supposed to lay off. You know, they keep saying like roles as well. So I think they might have people that are in more than one role. That's very common. Like I worked a lot of jobs where it's like, hey, you do this, and then you do these other three things as well. Or, hey, your job title is this, and you have this secondary job title. So roles is kind of, I don't know. You tell me if you think it's better to just say, hey, like, hey, I don't care how many roles you have in your company. You could have 2 million positions in your company. I just want to know how many workers you have, how many are there, and how many won't be there. You know, how many you've hired, how many you're firing. Like, stop saying roles. Like, it it's cloudy wording, in my opinion. So, yeah, they go they go on about it in this article as well. And I'll try to put that in there. But point being, the reason I wanted to make this was to help explain how even if a company is making record profits, they will still lay people off. They will still increase or keep their prices the same. There is no incentive. There's no incentive. So everything's about incentives, especially in economics. It's assumptions and incentives. If there is no incentive for a business to lower its prices, then it won't, because else why else would it? You know, and if we're going on the assumption that businesses will lower their prices if they do well enough, why would we work under that assumption if we have no incentive to help like back that assumption to function? What's happening is businesses are making more money than they've ever made and laying off more people as they can and trying to collect more profit. And it's not wrong to try to get profit, but it's not a sustainable economy if you're like, yeah, I'm just going to concentrate all the wealth into this one thing. And we're like it or not, you have to have a balanced economy. You cannot have like super high earners up here, nothing in between, and then like extremely low earners here. We know we have that in history. That's like back in the days of peasants and kings and lords. We don't want to go back that way. Like, even if the amenities of life and technology that has been brought to us, like, increase our overall comfort level, that's not a life people want to live in. And if you stop and think about it for yourself, I guarantee you it's not one you want either. What I would say as well, though, is that one of the reasons that we have this trickle down theory economics garbage, it's propped up, in my opinion, by monetary theory. Monetary theory is good and real and true, but there was a lot of rhetoric around it that made it kind of, everything gets distilled out in politics and in economics because it's too much. So one of the distilled sayings is shareholder value. All that matters is shareholder value. If you can increase profits, you can increase shareholder value. And if you go with that very simplistic kind of ideology, you run into more growing and growing inequality. And your economy starts to get lopsided and it won't function and it'll start to break down. So that's what we're seeing. We're seeing a lot, like, people would not be talking about this kind of stuff if it was not an issue. It's not that yes, there's lazy people out there. Yes, there's hardworking people out there. But if your median people, like your average person, is just like, I hate this. I can't afford anything. I can't buy anything. I can't live the life I want to live, which is not in extravagance. Yet we have exceedingly extravagant lifestyles here in America where there are people who are billionaires, 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 and high-end multi-millionaires. And it's just like, man, why is it like this? Well, this is why it's like this. It's because of trickle-down economics, or the theory around it, because it doesn't actually work. Just to be really clear, like, trickle-down economics is not real in the sense of like it actually works. It's just a made up story that everyone was told is a real story. It was like a story time story, like, yeah, and then, Snow White and the Seven Dwarves, or Red Riding Hood, whatever, and dwarves and whatnot. It's not real. Like, everyone's like, that's real. That's really happening. And that's not the case. So anyways, yeah, it's not. There's a lot of people like, oh, they're, watch your own wallet kind of thing. You can't function in an economy where your the whole watch your own wallet thing, like, I get it. But it doesn't work on a grand scale because you can't guarantee everyone's watching their own wallet. So it's best to look out for each other instead of just looking out for yourself. Because then if you make a mistake and someone's looking out for you, oh, hey, maybe they help you out. But if you make a mistake and you're only looking out for yourself, then you're screwed. Same with the person to your left and to your right and front and behind. If everyone's just focused on themselves, then there is no community. There is no connection between Americans. There is no good functioning economy to accompany it. It is just, I'm going to do me, and that's, I'm going to do that forever as long as I can. And when it doesn't work, that's actually too when a lot of people will kind of reach out and be like, oh no, I live by this rule of watch your own wallet and all this other kind of stuff, and now I'm hurting because I can't make it because the powers that be have decided they're going to work together, but they told everyone else to work alone. And so then they change the rules to fit and do what they want and make the money they want. And everyone else still working alone, watching their own wallets while they're watching each other's wallets and helping each other out. And so you got collaboration pitted against individuality. And being an individual is great. But in this context, one against many hardly ever wins. Many against one typically wins every time. And yeah, so I mean, long story short, I suppose trickle-down economics is fake. It's wrong. It's not real. Look at headlines. Read it for yourself. That's it. I mean, that's as easy as it gets. It's fake. If someone says it's real, ask them how. Ask them this. Ask them, why would a business lower its prices if it's making more money than it did last year? What's the incentive? What's the point? Why would they? And if all they can answer is like, because they're good people or something, like, that's not it. That's not true. That's not an answer. That's just straight up like hoping someone is kind. Or why would a business increase the wages of its employees if it doesn't have to, even if it's making more profit? What are the mechanisms and functions that actually makes a business go, you know what, man, I know I pay you $15 an hour, but I got to pay you 17. What is that? And if it's just courtesy, if it's just charity, that's not an answer. That doesn't scale. You might have one guy or one gal out there who's like, I'm going to make a business and I'm going to make it so it's, fair and good and all that. And yeah, that's very possible. As soon as they pass away or are out of business, that stops. So what is the incentive that can actually drive that assumption? It's all about incentives. It's all about assumptions. So, all right. Have a good day.